Hello, everyone. This is Professor Maloney, and today I'm going to be creating a demonstration video on the first Excel project for you. So this will be Excel Module 1 project. As you know, the projects are extremely important in this class. It is very, very, very important to make sure that you do your projects. I demonstrated in the Word module, I demonstrated the first project. I did about a fourth or so of the steps. I think it was either 5 steps out of 15 or 16 or 4 out of 15 or 16, something like that. I'll do a similar thing here in Excel. But some people in the class didn't do those projects or didn't do them enough times to get good grades on them. It's a huge portion of your grade, and it's very, very, very important that you do them. So please, please follow along with this thing here, and then be sure to do your Excel projects. All right. So I'm going to go over to MindTap and just demonstrate what's going to happen. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Actually, I'm already on the MindTap site. I'm going to minimize this. So I'm going to go over to MindTap. All right. So I'm going to go into Excel. Let me make sure that everything is happening the way I want. So we are here. I'm sharing. I'm recording. Yes, I am recording. And I'm sharing. All right, so MindTap. So in Excel, I'll go to the first project. So project, okay? Now, remember, you get 3 tries. You get 3 tries for every project, okay? That's pretty big. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So what do I have to do? I have to download files, then I have to save the work, and then I submit it for a grade. All right, so I'm going to download the instructions file first. Okay, I want to open it with Word, sure. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'll go ahead and let me hide this thing here, but to stop sharing. All right, I'll enable editing even though I don't necessarily really need to, but I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can kind of see it well. All right, so I'm going to open the file sc_ex19_1a_ first last name _1, and that's an XLSX file, which means it's an Excel file. So to do this, I need to have Excel, excuse me, on my computer. Okay, otherwise you have to be on a computer that has Excel. Not only that, but you should have Office 365, which I told you from day 1 in this class. You need Office 365 because that way you get the best score you can based on the features in it relative to what's required for the MindTap class you're taking. All righty? All right, so I've got that downloaded. The additions. Now I'm going to download the start file. This is the Excel file. Okay, and you'll see open with Excel. Well, I have Excel and I have Office 365 version of Excel. So I'm going to open it. So just say OK. And what I'm going to do is make my Excel file. I'm going to make my Excel file about as wide as my, what do I have here? This is this one. I have another one open. Oh, okay, this is that payment function I demonstrated for you guys before. I'll go ahead and close that thing down. Oh, I guess I didn't save that. I'll just say payment function. CGS 1060C, file 2021, Prof. Maloney. And I'll save it to a different location. In here, Fall 2021, CGS 1060, and save it. All right, so let's get rid of that. There we go. So now, this file here, I'm going to make it narrower so that I can have my instructions and this up. So that I'm going to put in half my screen, and then my instruction file, basically the other half of the screen. Okay, make the Excel file slightly wider. Okay, now, I do want my Excel file for you to be able to see it large enough though, but let's just look at the instructions and then I may or may not end up just making the Excel file larger. But for now, so I've got I've opened up my Excel file. That's this file here on the right side. And they tell me that it ends in a first last name _1. You do not touch the XLSX. If you open it in Excel, you don't add .xlsx to the name. It's already opened as Excel, okay? So but they want us to save it as the same name, SC_EX19_1A_ first last name _2. Okay. Now, where your first and last name is what pops up. When I say first last name, that's the way you're set up, the way you're registered at MindTap, your first and last name will come over. All right. So what we want to do is do a file, save as to this workbook, and I want to save it to this PC. You save it wherever you want to. I want to put it in my folder for you guys. So I'm going to go to MDC. Again, this is me, not you. Fall 2021, Homestead, CGS 1060. And now you see how the file name, it says copy of that. It shouldn't say copy of. I don't know why it's saying that. It's SC_EX19_1A_ John Maloney. I get rid of the 1 and change that to a 2. That's what the instruction here says. Okay, getting started. So now I'm going to save it that way. These are the files that I created for you guys in class. All right, so that's that. So I've done that. Now, the file still open, ensure that your first and last name is displayed in cell B6. So this is Excel. So file, B and 6. So this right here is the B column, and it's the 6th row, and it is my first and last name. So yes, it is appearing. Okay. All right. So now these are the steps where I get credit for them. And what I want to do is maybe do it differently. I want to make sure it's wide, but I just want to make sure that you guys can see the best you can. I think what I'll probably just do is leave the Word document like minimized, make the Excel file big so I can do it the way I need to do it for you to make sure that it shows well. I'm going to make the zoom much larger, about like that. Okay. All right. So now I'll open up the instructions and do them one at a time. So I'll make this larger as well. Okay. All right. So project steps is where we go. Josh Bartell is the senior director of the Pennsylvania field office for New Era Medical, a global company that manufactures medical equipment. He has created a worksheet summarizing the revenue and expenses for the first 3 quarters of the year. He asks for your help in determining what the Pennsylvania office needs to do to meet its targeted profit goals for the 4th quarter. All right, that's what basically we're doing. Right, we're pretending we're an employee or whatever. So we're going to go to the budget summary worksheet, cut the worksheet title from cell I1. That's not a 1. That's an I and then 1, and paste it in cell A1. All right, so I'm going to open this thing back up again. So they want me on the budget summary sheet. Down here, there's a documentation. That's the one with my first and last name in cell B6. But he said, go to my budget summary. And he said, go to I6, that's this. I'll pull the document back up. So he says, cut the worksheet title. So that means just cut it from there and paste it in cell A1. Okay, so here I'm just going to do Control X. Right, you can right click, cut. You can go up here and do your cut with the scissors in the top left area of the clipboard. So I cut it, and they said to put it in A1. So I'll do a Control V like Victor right there. If you do Control Paste, that's fine. If you do paste from up here on this thing, you can do it that way as well. Whichever way you want to do it. All right. But in any event, you want it in A1. So that's the first step. And just like the Word project I demonstrated, see, they show you the project as it should be at the end. And you see it says New Era Medical in cell A1. That's what I just moved there. Okay. So that. All right. So back over here, or sorry, not there. Now back to the top so I can get my next step. So I've done number 1, okay? All right, in cell E2, add the text number of so that the complete text appears as number of sales people. So I'm going to go to E2, that's the cell address, E2. So here is E, here is 2. Okay, you see it says salespeople. They want it to say number of before the salespeople so that without the quote marks it says number of salespeople with a colon. That's what they want me to do without the quotes. All right, so number of salespeople, and salespeople is small, off is small, number has a capital N. So over here again, So in here, and I go to the formula bar, and I'll just now type number with a capital N, space off, space salespeople. That's what they wanted me to do, and that's what I did. I'm going to periodically save it. You should always do that when you're working on things that you're getting a grade on, because you want to make sure, just in case something happens, you have everything saved. Okay, so I've done that. Now, step 3, enter quarter 2 in cell C4 and quarter 3 in cell D4. So in C4, I'm going to type quarter 2. I'm going to put a capital Q and a space after quarter. And in cell D4, I'm going to do quarter 3. So C4 and D4, C4 and D4. So here's C, here's 4. Okay. So, okay, see, they got quarter 1 in B4. So they want me to do quarter 2 in C4 and quarter 3 in D4. So here I'm going to type quarter 2. Quarter 2. Okay. And in D4, quarter 3. And enter that. Again, I'll now go in my instructions, okay, scroll to the bottom, because you should always do to verify that you've done it. So here, it's hard to see on this one, even at that size, but let me try to make it bigger. You see, it says quarter 2 and it says quarter 3, right? And it says, again, the new era and number of salespeople. That's very simple things that I've done thus far, right? But I still get credit for it. Okay, so that. Now, I've done number 1, I've done number 2. Now, in cell G5, so now I'm in step 4. In cell G5, enter a formula, and it says without a function. When they say without a function, that means you don't type equal sum or equal average, equal whatever. It's just the equal sign and no parentheses. So I'm going to go to first G5, and then I'll come back here. So in G5, so here's G, here is 5, right there. So cell G5, if you look in your name box, it should say G5. All right, so G and 5. And where they match up is right there under the word variance. Okay, so in cell G5, enter a formula without a function. So I started with a sign, and it says subtract the target revenue from the year to date. So I'm going to say equal E5 minus F5. Equal E5 minus F5. Okay, so here, equal E5, and I can just click on it if I want, minus F5, and enter. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that's what they told me to do again. So it says equal E5 minus F5. So it says it subtracts the target revenue from. See, it says from, so that means you start with this one. So from the date, year-to-date revenue. So equals E5 minus F5 equals E5 minus F5, and that's the formula there. So I've done that. Okay. All right, so that's that one. Let me see how many steps there are. So there's only 12 steps, okay? 12 steps. I've already done whatever I just said, 3 or 4 of them. So I'm actually only going to do one more because it's too much and I don't want to give you too many points. I mean, I want you to earn your points, right? So, and by the way, so when you're doing Excel Module 1 project, it's based on Excel Module 1 training. So always do your training first and do each training activity 2 or 3 or 4 times so that you understand it. And then that will help you do your project, okay? Then go on to Module 2 and do your training. And then if you want, you can do Module 2 project, or then just go on to Module 3 and go to Module 4. But then come back and do your Module 1 project and, you know, all your projects basically, right? Okay, so in cell G5, I did this formula, all right? Now in cell 5, in step 5, there's 2 things, A and B. So he wants to calculate the gross margin for quarters 1 through 3 and the year to date. Provide this information as follows. So for 5A, I'm going to go to B7 and again enter a formula without a function. That means you don't do equal sum. You don't have parentheses when it's without a function. It's just equal and the cell addresses. So let me go to equal cell B7 first. So B over here and 7. So right down here. Okay, let's see what the formula is going to be. Oops, shoot, I want that large again. Boom. I want this big so you guys can see it. Make this big. Not that big, but big. All right. Okay, so now let me just try to get that down a little bit. So I can go to that one here and now scroll this one up. Okay, so in 5A, that's where I'm at. So enter a formula without a function. So again, that's equal sign, but no sum or average or count or any of those things. By divides. So divides, that's the forward slash. So I'm going to say equal. So let's see, B6 by the revenue. So equal B6 slash B5, all right? So, and this is in B6. So here's B6 in B7. So right here, I'm going to type equal, okay? And then you can type it, but I prefer to just point and click. So they say divides the gross profit by the revenue, So yeah, equal B6. So here I'm going to say equal. Let me make this up taller now so I can get this in the right spot. So equal here. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense because there's nothing in that cell. Let me get out of there. Just come up and look. Okay, there is something in that silly cell. All right, I got to make this taller for right now because that's getting in the way of what I'm doing. Okay, so equal B6. Yeah, I'll just type it equal B6. Okay. And then it's divide, because they said divide. So divide equal. So in cell B7, enter formula without a function. So I said equal. Divides the gross profit by. Yeah, that means B5 goes into B6. So equals B6 slash B5. Equal B6 slash B5. And just enter that. And that is the answer to that formula. Verify. So we go to the sheet again, the bottom part of the sheet. See, it's 12.5% for the gross margin. Okay, so let's look at that again. 12.5, 12.5, and that was 5A. Okay, so 12.5. So let's look at it now here. It's 12.5. So our formula is right. Okay. Now let's look at the next step, which is 5B. So fill the range C7 to E7 with the formula in B7 to find the gross margin for quarters 2 and 3 and for the year to date. In other words, I'm going to use the fill handle. Okay. So I'm going to take B7 because I already got the right answer. That's that one that said 12.5%. And I'm going to drag it over to E7. All right. So C7 to E7. So right here, remember, the fill handle is the thing in the bottom, the bottom right corner of the cell. This is the cell. And way down there, right when I hover on top of it, it's going to be a thin black plus sign. Right there, that means I'm on that little tiny square. I'll move away from it again so you can kind of see it. That little square to the left, up the left part of my white hollow cursor, is the fill handle. When I'm on it, I get that view. Okay, so I click it, keep it clicked with your left mouse, and then go to C, then to D, and then to E. Okay, so now it's doing other formulas, but it's not based on this data. It adjusts it automatically for this column and for this column. So if we now look at the sheet again, the answer sheet, we see 12.5 we already verified, so 12.9 and 12.0. Okay, so let's go down again to the bottom, 12.5, and then 12.9, and then 12.0. So they're all correct. All right, so I'm going to save this. All right, now what's next? Let's minimize that now this time. Whoops, go back to my Word document. Okay, like I said, I only demonstrate 4 or 5 to give you just enough so that you understand what you're doing, and then you have to do it based on your trainings. So me having gotten through 5B right, that means there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to go, a little bit more than half. So I should have about 40 points for what I've done. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to now go back to MindTap. So I'm going to just minimize this Word document. Make sure you save your file, your Excel file. This is the important file. So I'm going to save it. Okay. And then I'm going to close it down. Close it down. Anytime you upload a file for grading, which is what you do in step 2, you first close the file down. So I renamed my start file. It now ends in a number 2. That's what they expect me to upload. See right here, it says expected file name. Don't worry again about .xlsx. What you should have done is rename it to end in a number 2. As long as you're using Excel, it'll automatically put the XLSX. So I'm going to browse for my files. Okay, go to my desktop. In my case, you go to wherever your file is. Mine's in this folder, and then mine's in this folder, and then mine is in this folder. And now I'm looking for a file. Today is 10/13, so I'm looking for right here. Well, that was what I saved a few minutes ago, that payment function that I showed you guys. But right here, see SC EX19_1A_John Maloney_2. This is the file. And verify the date and time. It's 10/13 and it's 5:37. This is 5:35. So that's obviously when I saved it 2 minutes ago. So now I click it and then I open, and now it's going to show up here. Okay. It says the expected file name, and then it shows the saved file that I picked. See, the same name. And remember, don't worry about XLSX. You do not add that. It adds it automatically as long as you're using Excel. Okay. And now that's correct. So I want to submit it. Okay. In literally a few seconds, I'll have there it is, already done. Now, it also tells you, hey, you've got 2 of 3 submissions remaining because I've only done 1. Okay. So to resubmit it, they tell you what to do. Close this screen, return to MindTap, relaunch the project, download your saved file in step 2, edit the file, upload it, and submit it again. In other words, if you want to, depending on your grade, obviously, you can download the same file that you uploaded and then continue. You don't have to go back to start on step 1. All right. Okay. So now I want to see the graded summary report, and I'll open it with Excel. Sure. Fine. All right. And this is my grade, about a 40. That's exactly a 40. See, I got a 40 out of 100. So I didn't get a lot of things right, but I didn't do a lot of things. Okay, so let's look at this now in larger font size. About like that should be enough. Okay, all right, so cut and paste a value. I got 8 points out of 8. So it was only one thing, but I got it correct. In cell E2, I added the text number off so that the complete text appeared as number of salespeople, and I got 8 out of 8, so I did it right. For number 3, I entered quarter 2 in cell C4 and quarter 3 in cell D4. Obviously very easy, but I got that right. In cell G5, I entered a formula without a function. That meant just equal and the cell address minus or whatever the other cell address, not with a sum, not with any parentheses, just equal and the cell addresses and the math operation. In my case, it was a minus. Okay. Anyway, got it right because there's a check mark. So 8 out of 8. Then for step 5, there were 2 things, but it's still only worth 8 points. Okay. So you have to do them both. I created the formula, it says correctly, and I copied the formula correctly. So everything is done correct. So I have 5/8, which is 40 points. Now, you guys need to still do number 6. Okay. You do it by following the instructions. You can use Google if you have to, but my God, you have to do your training. And all this was, displayed in your trainings. So all of these things, you then go and do. Okay. And I demonstrated how to do a chart, by the way, in class 2 days ago, the last class session anyway, when I did the class overview of Excel. And that was within the last few days. All right. So save your information file, save your report, save your Excel file for sure, and then reopen it if you need to resubmit it for a subsequent grade, meaning because you get to do it 3 times. All right. All right. So I'm going to end this. Congratulations. As long as you did that with me, have a great day.